Well, guys, what can I say? It feels so awesome to getting this mess cleaned up here. You could not walk through this room yesterday. There was absolutely no creative vibes. You know, like it's so hard to create when you feel cluttered and crammed and dirty. I really need to create an environment. So when I'm sculpting or doing paint jobs or whatever it is, I really need that comfortable work environment, and so that's why I'll always have some action figures and cool stuff. But while cleaning today, I found some really cool memories, and I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. Kind of take it back to the beginning of this trip that was my wacky life and the career that I had. So one of those items, I didn't even know this was under here, but while I was cleaning out underneath this workbench, I came across this. I don't think anybody's ever seen this before. Like, this is not something I've ever talked about. So when I first started my career, I worked, I was a kid, first of all. I left Pennsylvania when I was like, I don't even know if I was 18 yet. But I got to Hollywood, and I went to a makeup school there called Joe Blasco Makeup Center West, where I learned the art of makeup artistry. I really wanted to be an effects artist. I wanted to be the monster kid, or the monster guy. I wanted to be Tom Savini. You know, I wasn't really interested in like studio makeup, like beauty makeup or character makeup. So I went to a makeup school called Joe Blasco's Makeup Center West. It was at that time the premier, like if you were going to be a makeup effects artist or a makeup artist or pursue a Hollywood career, that's where you went. And I went there. I had an amazing teacher, lots of amazing teachers. I'm not even going to single them out. There was a lot of very much industry professionals that came and went from that school. My main teacher was a guy named Tom Thies, and Cynthia Henkel was the assistant. And they didn't have huge careers, but they were seasoned makeup artists. And Joe Blasco himself would come in from time to time. And that was always like, oh, Joe's here, Mr. Blasco, he's here, which was cool. He was an older gentleman who had an amazing career. Joe Blasco was a legend in makeup artistry. So when I got there, they made me take a professional makeup artist course before taking the makeup effects version. Like, I wanted to sculpt and mold and make foam latex rubber monsters. They didn't allow any of that until you did a professional makeup artistry course. And in that course, we learned, and this is back in 2000, 99, I don't know, 99 or 2000. So we learned beauty makeup, eyeshadow, lip liner, lipstick, eyeliner, base matching, like matching all the skin tone bases. And to me at that time, I was like, why am I doing this? Now looking back, it gave me so much experience working on humans, because I had done a lot of like rubber monster making in my bedroom, but I had not actually applied a lot of makeup to humans. And there's an apprehension when you're touching strangers or talking to strangers. So it really broke that comfortability level with me. Got me real comfortable working with, and I was really young. So like everybody in my class was like in their 20s or 30s, you know. I felt like, I remember in that class, there was a girl named Robbie whose boyfriend was Mick Mars from Motley Crue. And she was an Australian, like underwater photographer. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's part of the Motley Crue circle, you know. That was, and I saw on one of the like MTV Cribs or some MTV show, they're at Mick Mars's house and Robbie's like cleaning the pool, or she's at the pool. And I was like, that's her. That's the girl in my class. And another girl that was in my class, and I forget her name at this point, but she was dating Bud from Sublime, the drummer from Sublime. The drummer? Bass player? I don't know. Bud from Sublime, and he came to the class. And then Oscar De La Hoya's little sister, Ceci De La Hoya, was in my class. And there was a Japanese guy named Taka who we still remain friends. And Taka is an amazing artist, and we've Actually, if you look way back in my YouTube history, I used to do a show called My Monster Garage, and there's an episode where Taka comes and visits. But makeup school was a really unique place for me because I didn't want to do professional makeup, like beauty makeup and such. But I took it very seriously because I wanted a career in makeup effects. And when it came time, after I graduated the 11-week program or whatever it was, and then it was time to start the special makeup effects program, I'd been watching, across the school at that class and all the cool stuff they were making. There was a really awesome effects instructor at the time named Larry Bones, who still today, great dude. And I just dreamed about being in his class. That's all I wanted to do. And they said, I'm ready to sign up and let's go. And I go to the office and I talk to this guy, Brian Brown, who was the office guy. It's crazy that I remember these names. I remember he had a chow dog that was in the office with him all the time. And he said, hey, sorry, we don't have a makeup effects class scheduled coming up. There's just not enough students signed up to do it. And I was like heartbroken and confused, and I just paid like $11,000 and I had to pay $6,000 more or whatever it was. I don't know if those numbers are accurate. And I was just like, and I had saved up money. Like there was no financing. I'm like, my whole life I wanted to be an effects artist. So this is what I was going to do. I'm a kid. I left high school early. My class, the class hadn't even graduated yet while I was doing this, and my high school class. So at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, what do I do? I'll go to another school. There's another school called Cinema Makeup. It's very small. I'll go there. And Brian Brown was like, no, brakes, put the brakes on. And he said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to hook you up with an internship for a makeup artist named Matthew Mungle, who owns a company called WM Creations. So my mind is blown because I know who Matthew Mungle is. He had won the Academy Award for Bram Stoker's Dracula, along with Greg Canham. Matthew Mungle is a legend. I mean, he worked on Edward Scissorhands. He worked on Natural Born Killers. Like Matthew Mungle is a huge, huge name. And I'm like, an internship, you say? And they're like, yeah, here's the address. Show up on Monday. He'll be expecting you. And then we'll let you know when your class is going to start. So I showed up on Monday at Matthew Mungle's WM Creations in North Hollywood. And I was like, I remember I had this old van that I called the Makeup Machine. And it was like filled with horror movie posters and like Toxic Avenger artwork. And I just roll up in this like smog infested 83 Dodge van. And I got there way early. The gates were locked. I didn't know what to do. I'm just sitting there. And finally, a guy came and opened the gates. And it is a shorter guy, younger than I thought Matthew would be. I didn't know what Matthew looked like. And his name was Eddie Vargas. He's a cool dude. And he opens the gate. He's like, come on in. You're the new squid. And I was like, squid? I don't even know what that means. Okay. And I get in there, and all the people start filing in, and we're at this huge effects shop. I mean, just life casts, probably 100 life casts on the wall. And it's so clean, and it looks like a laboratory, but a workshop. I've never seen anything like this. I've never been to an effects shop. And in I watch a lot of Full Moon behind the scenes and stuff. You never saw an effects shop that was so, I can't say it was clean, because like this room, I mean, there's permadirt, like there's permanent dirt. But it was so organized, and there were sections. There was the foam running room. There was the woodworking outside, and fiberglass molds outside, and the urethane area, and the gelatin area. Everything had its own space. And they're like, so what do you do? What do you know how to do? And I was like, well, I make rubber monsters, and I've used the Michael Burnett videos. Have taught me a lot about rubber monsters, because you got to remember, I only took the makeup course at Joe Blasco's. These guys all had been through the Blasco school, so they knew I didn't know how to do stuff. I wasn't taught there, and so they said, "What do you?" I said, "I use the Michael Burnett videos," which I love those videos, and they're like, "So you could do cotton and latex?" And I said, 100%. I could do cotton and latex. So they put me on this project making with that guy Eddie. He kind of took me under his wing, and we made cotton and latex corpses. And I find out while we're making them that they're for the show X-Files. Like, we're on X-Files season 8. And he's like, yeah, we just did this Billy Miles episode and blah, 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 blah. He's going on and on and on about X-Files. I'm like, I love X. I'm on my favorite. I walked into an unpaid internship on my favorite show ever, and I'm making corpses for X-Files right now. And so I'm working on him. And, there was a guy, Chris, was working on the Super Soldiers and the Lucy Lawless stuff. And I was like, this is wild. So I stayed until they kicked me out that night. And then I came back. And I never stopped coming. I'd be the first one there, the last one to leave. I tried to be as professional as possible. Now, I need everybody out there to understand. There was a time that I didn't know everything about makeup effects, obviously. I was green, and we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have, there was no way to learn this stuff without being here and learning it. So where I learned it was, I learned it from these guys. Ryan McDowell, Clinton Wayne, eventually Chuck O'Brien showed up, who, if any of you guys follow me, we still work together, and he's a very close friend. We had legends like Greg Smith and Mike McCracken that would come through. We had, and then Matthew and John Jackson were so knowledgeable, but they're scary because those guys were I didn't want to get fired. I didn't want people to catch on that I didn't know what I was doing. So there was a guy named Chris Kabzina who, he taught me everything. He told me, he was an open book. All these guys were so welcoming to me, except for one. And I probably learned more from him than any of them. That's not true. I learned a lot from a guy named Clinton Wayne, who's an amazing effects artist. But there was a guy, when I first started, this tall, skinny, grouchy man comes through. His name's Tim Considine. And I know who Timmy is. He comes through the door just looking like Ichabod Crane, just grouchy and surly though, always smoking. And they asked me, they're like, this is like within the first week, they're like, hey, do you ever make a fiberglass mold? Thinking that I'm going to say, no, I don't know how to work with fiberglass. Like, I'm a kid. I went to makeup school, beauty school, And I was like, yeah, I know how to make fiberglass. I tap glass. And they're like, you know how to work with fiberglass? And I was like, yes, I've, and I kind of just shot off how to use it, the MEKP and the ratios and stuff. And they're like, okay, you're with Tim. Well, Tim Considine, he created Toxic Avenger for Toxic Avenger Part 4. He also was on Toxic Avenger 2 and 3, specifically responsible for Dolphin Boy. He did all the makeup effects on Terra Firma with a girl named Ruth. Like, Tim Considine, although he had a Hollywood career as well, was a trauma guy from New York. And that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be a trauma guy from New York, but I moved to LA because I saw a trauma office in LA and I thought this is going to work. But I end up on the X-Files, which is the absolute opposite from Traumaville. And then I'm working with Tim Considine, who's from Traumaville. So Tim was mean, man. He was mean like razor blades. And he'd yell at me, "You're killing me, Devlin! You're killing me!" And I think we used to call it resin rage. When we're tapping fiberglass, first of all, let me take you back. I never made a fiberglass mold. When I was 14 years old, me and my Uncle Tom, we built this little mini boat. It's called a hydroplane. It's like 4 foot by maybe 6.5, 8 feet hydroplane boat. And it had like a 30 horsepower Johnson motor on the back or something. It might have been small. I don't know, but it so fast it would just skip on top of the water. But it was something that he found at the dump. So we had to fiberglass and patch it. That was the only time I ever touched fiberglass. And we're both reading the instructions on the bottle while we did it. So people say fake it till you make it. At WM Creations, I would say that I could do something and then I would just work so hard to back it up. But Tim Considine would be yelling at me while we're making fiberglass molds, just screaming at me. Luckily, I'm an auditory learner and I took everything he said and I tried to never make the same mistake twice. I used to have a thing, I'm really bad with numbers. I'm really, really get jumbled up with numbers. And so if you hear me spitting out prices, timelines, dates, it's probably all wrong. But I used to ask question. Like we're working on, we got some 1065 silicone. And first of all, 1065, 1082, this is what they're called. So a kid that's not good with numbers, I had to remember everything. This is before Smooth On. This isn't when we had Dragon Skin and Echo Flex with cool names. This is like 1065, 1082, 1630. Like, these are the names of products, and I don't know how to do stuff. And then they're like, oh, it's just a 1-to-1 ratio or a 10-to-1 ratio or a 50-50. And you have to remember that, okay, so it's a 1-to-10 ratio on 1065, but if you wanted to kick faster, put 3 drops of Vicure. Like, this is a foreign language. So I had this little mini tape recorder. I don't know if you guys remember those little tiny tapes. I had a little tape recorder. Guys would listen to Walkmans and stuff in the shop, and that was cool. Like, they didn't mind. Nobody got mad. Like, we would always have a radio on. We would be listening to movies recorded just the audio, or like comedy specials with Eddie Murphy, or we would listen to music. Matthew loved classical, so he would always have classical in the morning. I remember sometimes me and Chuck would win and we could get some Skid Row on or something. But other guys that didn't want to hear, Eddie Murphy or whatever would wear their headphones and just work and do their job. So I had this little tape recorder, and I would go ask somebody, hey, how do I just remind me, how do I work with the 4-pound polyfoam? And they'd tell me, they'd be like, well, for 4-pound polyfoam, you're going to do 50% part A to 100% part B, or whatever the mixture is for BJB, or, it's all this code. Well, I'd be recording the answer. So that way, if I ever had to mix up polyfoam again, I could find that and just look like I'm just listening to music, but I could just listen. I never had to ask the same question twice. I would just have that tape recorder, and that tape recorder became like my gold, because it had how to run foam latex, how to work with different platinum silicone and tin-based silicone, the differences, because I didn't know any of this. So if somebody started talking, I just come and stand like I'm listening, but I'm recording there. I wish I had these tapes. I'll tell you the funniest story. This is, it's embarrassing. So the tape was really long, and it had tons of information on it. I've had so many people talking on it. I probably had multiple tapes too, but specifically one. So I lived in this guy Vic's house, and it was a weird little tiny house in Echo Park. Anyway, one time I was taking a leak, and the tape recorder fell out of my pocket into the toilet, and I didn't want to reach in the toilet, so I flushed the toilet to try to get the water to the bottom, and that freaking tape recorder went right up the gooseneck, lodged in the toilet. I spent half the night with my arm up a toilet, like trying to get to the tape recorder, because my most valuable lessons are on there. Well, here's the funny thing. I had to replace that toilet before my roommate Vic woke up in the morning, because he needed to do his business. So I go to Home Depot, 24 hours on Sunset Boulevard. No joke. I'm in Home Depot, I'm walking, I'm like, okay, there's a toilet. It's us, like $83, not that bad. Buy the toilet, I gotta get the wax seal, and I turn around, and who's there? Marilyn Manson and Rose McGowan. Now, I am brand new in Hollywood, and I'm in Home Depot at 1 a.m, and Marilyn Manson and Rose McGowan are in Home Depot, and I'm like, I'm arrived, and then I fix that toilet. All right, back to WM Creations. So I worked there as an unpaid intern, and I met some great people. After a little bit of earning my dues, I'd say I was there for a year, because I know Chuck O'Brien was already working there. I got hired on real quick. Like 2 weeks in, they offered me a full-time job. I stayed there for like 2 years, and I learned more at that experience. And I worked on huge movies, big movies and small movies, and TV shows, lots of TV shows. First being The X-Files, and then my first feature film was Scorpion King. But, and so we actually used those cotton latex bodies again for Scorpion King, and we made more. So, anyway, there was a point where WM Creations had a side business. It was called New Products. New Products was like Halloween foam latex faces, foam latex mask prosthetics for haunted houses, for Halloween. It was not Hollywood, but it was Hollywood technology for Halloween. It was called New Products. They made dentures. We did all kinds of stuff. And it was a whole side company. So it was a guy named Jordan kind of did all the shipping and ordering and trade shows. And then there was a woman named Jackie and her niece and nephew, Donna and Mike, worked there. And I became such close friends with Donna and Mike. I wish I still knew them. I don't know their last name, but I wish I knew those guys. I wish they were on Facebook and I could find them, because I would go like out to the lake with them and do wakeboarding. Like, Mike was awesome to me, and I always thought I'd bring him along, and like if I ever made a mask company, which I ended up doing, he would be my guy, because he ran all the latex pieces. He was just like a high school dropout who didn't know what he wanted to do. His mom worked at this weird shop, and he came there. He was an ex-gangbanger, but he just loved working there. And I'll never forget, Mike always wore Slipknot shirts, and I've gotten to work with Slipknot a couple times now, and he would have been so stoked on that. Just super cool dude. But anyway, New Products was their Halloween line. Well, I'll never forget, me and my buddy Chuck O'Brien were drafted, and Matthew came to us. He says, "You guys want to do some sculptures for money?" Which is, so it's different now. Nowadays, you go get yourself on a reality show, you walk into a makeup shop, and you're a sculptor. You know what I mean? You come off of, you've got YouTube, you've been practicing sculpting since you were a kid, you're a sculptor. A lot of guys enter the business as sculptors. Back then, you had to earn. I mean, that was a big deal to be a sculptor. Even in our shop, we had permanent fixtures. Clinton, Ryan, Chris, Chuck, myself, and Eddie, right? And then a guy named Richard. We didn't always get to, us green guys never got to sculpt, but like the veterans didn't always get to sculpt. It was either Matthew, or he'd bring in Greg Smith. He would bring in McCracken. He would bring in somebody to sculpt, because it was a really big deal to be responsible for what the clay looked like. Now, I made 1 million molds. I'd worked with cotton and latex. I did a lot of severed heads and life casts and stuff like that, but I did not... Hey, hi. Sorry. What's up?
You need a gas mask?
Oh, I do need gas mask. Hey, we got some...
Oh.
How did you know that I needed a gas mask?
I watched your...
These guys are watching I'm filming right now. Come on in. So they watched a show on YouTube, and they just showed up with gas masks. So Roger and Annette just brought me this gas mask for my Bloody Valentine haunted houses, which that you guys have free tickets to. Come out on Valentine's night, take a date, and we'll rip your heart out. But so this is a perfect minor mask for our Harry Warden. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Fantastic. Glad to help.
Yeah. Guys, you will never believe what Roger just told me. So Roger also is the owner of the original black hearse. Well, it's an ambulance. It was an ambulance. Right. As a 59?
59.
The original 59. The original 59 ambulance that becomes the Ecto-1 in the first Ghostbusters. So Roger lived in Chicago, and he owned the original car, and the studio rented it from you?
They just rented it. They wanted to buy it, but I had just bought it in December of 1982, and they were already calling in 83 wanting to buy it from me. I just got the car.
And you just wanted to play with it. You wanted it as a car.
Yeah, I was a paramedic at the time, so I wanted to keep the car.
That's so cool.
And so they rented it. They trucked it out to New York City for filming. Then they trucked it out to California and back to me with only about 90 extra miles on the odometer.
How much did they rent it for, if you don't mind?
$2,500.
Which in 83 is a lot of money.
Which to me as a young kid, that was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we get to New York City and find out they painted it black and gray primer without telling me, I was stunned, because I had plans to paint it my own way, so it didn't really ruin it, but it was a shock. It wasn't.
But they painted it.
They painted it black and gray because it was originally red and white.
So I have worked on a couple movies where we've rented cars, and one of them in particular, a movie called Ed Gein. It was an old Studebaker, and we painted it 6 times on set, but we used tempera paint, so we could. It was like kids' hand paint, finger painting paint, and we were able to pressure wash it off. So when we gave it back, they didn't know any different. But we painted that car like 3 or 4 different times, like a peach tone, a green tone, That was pretty funny, but they actually
They painted it,
painted
and I
your
was
car.
shocked. Ultimately, they paid $850 more
Okay.
for the rental. So
Okay.
we're good.
What happened to the Ghostbuster car now?
I have an idea where it's at, but I don't know. I sold it in 1988. I didn't have the money, the expertise,
Or the storage.
or the
Right.
storage space
Right.
to hang on to it. So I sold it to a paramedic in Decatur, Illinois. He then sold it to someone else in downstate Illinois. I am 90% certain that that person sold it to Universal Studios in Florida, who then painted it for one of their parades.
As an ecto.
Right, because I've seen pictures of a car in a parade, and there are some clues on there that make me believe that that is the car that is now known as the Pre-Ecto.
How wild is it that Roger walks into my shop on random? They actually live here in Boulder. They've been watching the videos that I'm putting up, to give me a gas mask, and then tells me that he owned the Pre-Ecto Cadillac hearse.
And I've got
Ambulance.
pictures, so I can.
Oh yeah, let's
I
see
can
the
prove
picture.
it.
Let's see the pictures. Guys, you got to see these photos. This is awesome. Oh, that's the original color.
That is the way I saw it back in 1982.
That is-
59 Caddy, make an offer.
I love that you took a picture then. Who would have the forethought? That is awesome.
And then we all know the line from Ghostbusters where, how much? $4,800. And then they're just listing all of the problems with the car. It's just an iconic scene, and it's only 18 seconds
Yeah.
in the movie. And then another 18 seconds in the firehouse when Sigourney Weaver first walks in to meet the Ghostbusters. Before she meets the Ghostbusters, she kind of meets the car by walking by and giving it the eye while she's going past it. This is the way it looked for the Belmont Fire Protection District in Illinois.
That's awesome. And Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd are they both from Chicago?
No, Dan Aykroyd's from Canada.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
Bill Murray is from Chicago.
yeah, and they both were at Second City in
Yeah,
Chicago.
that's what it was. They were at Second City in Chicago.
So then I show up in New York City to watch the filming because they told me when and where they'd be. And this is what I see. They repainted my car without telling me.
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
sitting in this empty lot looking like this. So it was a shock. But then the magic happened. We got to go watch filming, and there's
That's the real Ecto.
Ecto, the primary car, sitting on the street, nobody even looking at it, because nobody knows what this movie is about. Nobody knows what's going on there. And it was just fantastic to be able to see this out in the wild
Oh my gosh.
of Manhattan.
Oh my gosh, you could sell 8x10s of these photos. We'll print them up. You can sell them at the Monster Museum.
And then here's the one of the bonuses. We went to Lincoln Center.
Oh wow,
And
that is a
so-
behind the scene photo right there.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. You guys got to witness history being made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, how long
Our little brush with fame.
how long was it until you knew Ghostbusters was going to be what Ghostbusters became?
Well, that summer it really blew up. And so we realized it was a pretty big deal.
That's so cool. How when you got rid of the car, what did you sell it for? Did you include that history when you sold the car?
Oh, the paramedic that bought it from me, he knew the history.
Oh, very cool.
We gave him a reasonable rate.
Very cool. You absolutely never know who's going to show up and what kind of awesome stuff happens here at the Monster Museum. But yeah, I'm going to jump back into the story about the beginning of my career. But I mean, that is just the most pleasant interruption. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Holy moly, I don't even know what to say. That running into Roger and Annette, they just came here. I never met them before. I had no, you never know how many people you're reaching with these videos. But these guys, they live in my town. They're a big fan of other YouTubers. They've been to the Monster Museum. I've never met them. They just show up randomly. They have this gas mask that is great for our haunted attraction. And then they have this history with the Ecto and the Pre-Ecto car that is from the original Ghostbuster movie. Like, I can't write this stuff, man. Anyway, back to my story that I'm trying to tell about the beginning of my career. I pretty much explained new products. It was a Halloween company, professional makeup effects, quality for Halloween. They sold a lot of things like dental distortions type dentures, And then they had prosthetics and stuff. So myself and Chuck were asked, do we want to sculpt these? And we'll get paid for it. You know, we're going to get paid to sculpt a product that's going to go into the world. And I was so stoked. So I remember my very, very first sculpture that I did for money. It was a Frankenstein forehead. Go figure. And this is actually the product. This is a foam latex Frankenstein forehead piece. You can see that's what it would look like if it was on. And I purchased this at a store. I didn't even get one for free. I purchased this at a store called Hollywood Costume and Toys. But to see something that I created on the shelf, this foam latex, was so unique and so cool. You know, and it has all the application instructions on the back. I wish there was a year on this. I would say this is in 2001, 2000? I think 2000. But yeah, all the instructions on how to apply it. So on top of that, I went on to make my own Halloween mask company, the Fright Zone, and I made tons and tons of masks. We would do Transworld's big Transworld show every year. And at the Transworld show, a guy approached me one time and he's like, I think I have some of your sculptures that I sell. And I was like, really? I never sold a sculpt, so I don't really know how. And he's like, but did you work for New Products? And I said, yeah, I did work for New Products. And they had sold their whole company to this gentleman, and he was reselling these prosthetics. He was selling the foreheads, and he also was selling some full faces I made. And I just thought that was so cool. I was like, man, this is insane. My buddy Chuck made a bunch of them too, and all that stuff was there. And I was like, our stuff lives on. We made this, and it lives on. And then I get to, I'm living in Vegas area. I'm working in this workshop, and I got an email that was like, I don't even know if I got an email. I think a package just showed up, and it was this. It was in a box, and it had this bag on top of it. And I knew exactly what this was when I saw it. This is the first thing I ever sculpted for New Products for a full face. The Frankenstein head was the first sculpture, but this was my first original character, and it was a spider. It was like a spider face. This is a silicone master. Now I know this is made out of 1065. A silicone master. And this is so you can make multiple molds off of it and continue to run them. You would just pop a mold, and then you would be able to continue to run this face. So this is like 18-year-old Tom Devlin sculpture right here. Look at the dot, the pore texture. This is very much something I still insist upon my students doing, hand pore texture. And it was before Harry Potter had hit. I think, or before Lord of the Rings, I don't remember, but I do remember Jordan, who was working for New Products. He was really specific that we needed a spider. Spiders are going to be real big because fantasy's headed towards spiders with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. We're going to need a spider, so I made this guy. I don't think he sold very much. All these ports where you see these holes, there was like sharp acrylic nails that would go in them, and then he got vacuum form on his 8 eyeballs, little vacuum form shells. But this was really cool. I've never seen one of these in the wild, foam latex piece, but this guy sent me the original master back, and this was made in 2000 at WM Creations for New Products. It's just so cool, and I'll keep this forever because although it doesn't look like much to most, it's like, God, it's got so much memories attached to it for me. I don't ever look at it, but it's just kind of neat. Well, guys, that was pretty wild. It was so cool to meet Roger and Annette, local Boulder City guys here watching my videos. And I appreciate their storytelling. I appreciate the gas mask. This thing's starting to catch a little fire, I guess. I mean, that was cool. Like, I don't know those guys. And I hope you enjoyed the beginnings of my career, and stick around to see where it keeps going, because we're doing stuff, man. We're making it happen, and the cleaning is getting done. Annette was so impressed. She's like, I can't believe you can walk in here now. So anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, tell your friends and family, and I'll see you tomorrow.